Hey, so one of the audiobooks I listened to recently since my last update was A Little Life by Hana Yanagihara. This is one of those books that's kind of polarizing. People either seem to love it or hate it, and I was curious to see where I would fall within it. I didn't love it necessarily, but I didn't hate it either. It's a book that sticks with you long after you read it. In fact, I'd originally given it like 3 stars on Goodreads. And I went back and changed it to 4 because I just kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about this book. It's definitely a long book. It's a commitment to get into it. I listened to it on audio, and I think I played it at 1 1/4 speeds just to kind of move it along. And I don't usually like speeding up audiobooks because they sound funny. The voices sound kind of robotic, but it actually worked pretty well with this particular audiobook. So it's the story of like 4 college friends and their lives after they leave school and kind of pursuing their careers and how their lives kind of come in and out of each other's orbits. I read it for Pride Month. There are some LGBTQ plus themes running throughout it, particularly amongst the male friends. There's a gay relationship between a couple of them. But the story mainly focuses on the one character of Jude, a boy who was abandoned at birth and grew up in a home run by the brothers. And it's just of all the horrors that he faced, first from being unwanted, and then the abuse at the hands of the brothers, of people that he trusted, that he thought he had come to love, and found once again betrayed. And it's a really, really tough read. The author definitely puts the reader through just as much hell, not quite as much as Jude goes throughout the story. Like I said, between the physical, sexual abuse, mental abuse, and betrayals. But the reader goes through a lot too, because usually with these kinds of books, you know, you expect some sort of payoff in the end, a little light at the end of the tunnel for the character, and the author does not give you that. Not every book has a happy ending. Not every book is a Disney book, and I think that's what causes a lot of people kind of not liking this. You've gone through this hell, and there's no payoff in the end. I would have liked a little bit more in depth with some of the background of the other characters besides Jude. You do get a little insight into their lives, but it does mainly focus on Jude. He is the main topic of the book. He's on the cover of the book, and I thought it was a weird picture on the cover until you read the story and you see where that image came from, and that pain that he suffers, and the relationship in terms of the title of the book too. That little life that he keeps hoping for, a little bit of happiness perhaps, but he's almost like he doesn't feel like he deserves it. He self-harms. Maybe that self-harm is the only way he has any kind of control over his own life, for a change. And it's just a really, really tough read, but it's worth it in the end, if you can get through it. Yeah, and overall, like I said, it stuck with me for quite some time afterwards, and I gave it 4 stars. Well, I was out on a walk earlier, so I'm back from my walk, and I'm going to continue my update here at home. So after A Little Life, I needed something much lighter to listen to, and I ended up going with this book. This is the Sunny Point Chronicles, Volume 1, and it is The Darkness of Sunny Point. Don't know if there's an author necessarily. It's performed by a full cast. It's an Audible exclusive, and like I said, it's Volume 1, so apparently it'll be continuing. I don't know how long of a series. It's kind of a young adult. This is 10 and up. And like I said, I literally need something light to listen to, and it sounded kind of fun and creepy, so I went with it. And it's about a girl named Dylan and her mom. They move out of the big city into this small little town called Sunny Point, into this big old creepy Victorian house. And she's not thrilled with the move, but she had little choice in the matter. And she's not comfortable in the house. It's like every room she tries out for her, there's like 5 bedrooms or something. She tries out various rooms. She doesn't seem to be able to get settled in either of them, and she ends up choosing the attic room, where she sleeps the best. But there's a weird old trunk in there that's kind of locked and seems to move its location from time to time. Anyway, yeah, you know there's going to be something weird and creepy about the house and something mysterious. And in terms of like the school, when she goes to check out the new school, there's like the popular girls that are, you can tell they're going to be like the bullies and picking on her because she's the new person there, and she doesn't fit in with them. And so she ends up settling in with the quirky kids. I always love the quirky kids. You have Quinn, he's sort of the film buff. Birdie, she's like the class joker. And Kamal, I think his name is. He's like a history buff. He's fascinated in everything history, and of course he's really fascinated with this house she's moved into and the background of the woman who used to own it and everything. And that'll play a big part within the story as it goes along. What happens is she and her friends, they're over, messing around doing this sort of, kind of like a truth or dare, but it's more like a dare or dare. And there's one of them to go into the trunk, and they close the trunk, and they do manage to get it open at one point for this dare. But anyway, they end up finding a necklace in there, and it turns out this necklace has some sort of power that when Dylan ends up wearing it, all her wishes come true, which can be exciting and also very dangerous, especially when one of the wishes ends up accidentally making one of her friends disappear. It was really good. I enjoyed all the creepy sound effects and stuff thrown in there, because it's, like I said, it's kind of a full cast acted out, and it really comes to life on it. So it was fun, nice, lighthearted thing I needed right after listening to A Little Light. In terms of the physical books I was reading at the time, I was listening to Sunny Point. I was finishing up Blue Exorcist number 19. This is by Katsue Kato. It's a really, really great manga series, one of my favorites, dealing with exorcists or ex-wires. They're students becoming exorcists and learning how to defeat demons. And there's these two twin brothers, one who we know happens to be part demon, and it's something that he struggles with, this alternate side of him. At first he kept it secret, and now he's using the power he has to kind of help him in his quest to fight off demons and stuff. It just got really great artwork, and I love the characters and everything. One of my favorites. Then I moved into the Get Graphic readathon. This is a follow-up from the manga readathon I had just finished, so it was basically, for the most part, more manga for me. And I did a wrap-up for that, so I'll just kind of show you quickly what I read. I read Orange Future. This is by Ichigo Takano. Really enjoyed that one. I Am a Hero. This is this Volume 6 Omnibus. This is by Kengo Hanazawa. Really great zombie manga. Goodnight Pun Pun. This is by Inio Asano. I really like this mangaka, but I wasn't too thrilled with this one. It was very depressing, although I have heard that is kind of what his stuff usually is like. I know Soul Linen was. I said in my wrap-up for Get Graphic readathon that I would probably not continue with this one, but I may change my mind and give it one more try, because I keep thinking of that character, so we'll see. He may turn up a volume 2 sometime. Then I read Tomboy by Liz Prince. This is a graphic memoir that I really, really enjoy. One of my absolute favorites. And then Corpse Party, Book of Shadows by Mika Ori. And this is a follow-up to Corpse Party, Blood Covered. It's a manga based on a video game. So like I said, I did a whole vlog of the Get Graphic readathon weekend. It was a 3-day readathon, and you can go ahead and watch that. I'll put a link to it down below. Some of the two other books that I had for my TBR for that, I ended up finishing. So I went in and finished Pluto. This is the 3rd volume. This is by Naoki Urasawa, based on Astro Boy by Osahama Tezuka. And it's about a serial killer on the loose. It's in the future. We have 7 famous, or something super special about these 7 robots. One of them happens to be the detective trying to solve the serial killer. And we have a series of murders taking place, killing humans that are associated with these, or the construction, or something to do with robotics. And also some of these super robots are being destroyed too. So I'm curious to see who that is involved. Just really, really lovely artwork. Really enjoying this one so far. I only have 3 volumes of it. This one I happened to pick up at Half Price Books, so I don't know when I'll be getting the next volumes, and we'll see. I may end up not wanting to wait and just end up ordering them. And then I had a graphic novel, which was Doctor Who: The Forgotten. This is by Tony Lee and Pia Guerra. It's about the 10th Doctor who wakes up in a museum. Doesn't know how he got there, doesn't really know much about his past. He knows he's over 900 years old, but he doesn't remember any of his previous incarnations. And Martha Jones, his companion, is trying to help him remember. In the museum, it seems to be a museum to Time Lords, which is his race, and there's a separate wing just for the Doctor. And these are all his various outfits that he wore as his other incarnations, including some little objects that each one of them was known to carry with them. And these objects seem to help trigger his memory. And then when the memories are triggered, you're sent back to each of these different Doctors, and you can see what he looked like during then, and the companions he had with him, and little short stories, like there's the second Doctor, and those are kind of in black and white because that's how we came to see them. And then you have the third Doctor driving around in his little car, Bessie. It was enjoyable. Yeah, the artwork for the most part is pretty good, although that's not a very good Tom Baker. But anyway, I really did enjoy it, so it was fun. And so yeah, I kind of had enough of graphic novels at that point, having done the manga readathon followed by the Get Graphic readathon. So I picked up Shirley Jackson's The Road Through the Wall. This is her debut novel. My goal is to kind of read her books in order of release. This came out in 1948, and it's about one particular street in a small town. It's Pepper Street, and it's a kind of secluded little area. The end of the street's blocked off by this wall, and it separates it from the neighboring village. And you come to meet all the people living on this street, and like this describes in the back, you meet the Miriams, the Fieldings, the Robertses, the Ransom Joneses, the Desmonds, just to name a few. That is just a few, because it seemed like there were so many people in this book, including all the various children. I mentioned it in my last reading update when I first started the book, that within the first few pages you're just inundated with so many characters that I couldn't keep track of them. I came down to even care about any of them. I was rather disappointed this one overall. The main point of this book is, it says this wall's about to be knocked down, making way for a road to a new housing development. That's not good, not with summer vacation starting, the kids running around. It's not good at all, so it's supposed to kind of disrupt this neighborhood. But that doesn't even happen until page 130 out of a 194-page book. So, the most part, you're dealing with just the people interacting with each other, how they seem kind of friendly on the surface and maybe not so friendly underneath, and some parents not wanting their kids to associate with other kids because they think they're beneath them or whatever, and some kids bullying other kids and laying the blame on them for various things that they're not, involved in, and then people looking down on that person saying, well, that kid's a bad influence, Well, it's really the other person who's making it look like it's that, It was that kind of backbiting, kind of below the surface tensions in a neighborhood. It says a satirical look at the smug suburban neighborhood. And all that was just okay. It made it difficult picking it up. I didn't find it, like I said, all that interesting, or the characters all that interesting. One of the kids is a bit peculiar in the way he acts, and sometimes doing just strange things, like he sees some people leaving their home, and he kind of like sneaks in, and he just kind of wanders around the house looking around, and he's not really caring that he could possibly get caught. It's just like, is he, quite know what's going on with him. So yeah, like I said, the main focus of this is this wall's supposed to come down. I didn't even notice that it made all that big of a change in the neighborhood. People complained about it and stuff, but like again, till page 130, you're like this far in the book when it finally happens, and you've got this little bit left. But there is a weird twist at the end where something happens that's when it kind of got interesting. And in typical Shirley Jackson fashion, she doesn't quite wrap everything up, so it's left for the reader to decide kind of what exactly happened. Did the person that everything points to actually do what they're accused of, and trying to keep it as vague as possible. But there's a little weird thing going on that it's sort of left kind of for you to decide, the details. And I kind of like that part of it. I don't mind that she does that from time to time, but the rest of the book I just felt was a little underwhelming, so there's that. In addition to reading my way through Shirley Jackson's books, I'm also reading my way through Daphne du Maurier's books, following Ange over at, oh god, I forgot her channel name. Beyond the Pages, I believe. Sorry. We're on Daphne du Maurier's second book. This is I'll Never Be Young Again. And this one, I liked her. I liked her debut novel. That was good. Although some of the characters again weren't all that likable. This one, they weren't all that. I have to say the same thing. The main character was not that likable. We meet Richard, sometimes referred to as Dick, who I thought was a total dick throughout the book. He's about to jump off a bridge. He wants to end his life. He's dissatisfied with his home life, his parents, he doesn't feel love him, his father kind of just... He's an author, he seems more involved in his work and dismisses everything that Richard does, and he's had it. He's going to jump off the bridge, and suddenly feels a hand on his shoulder pulling him back, and it's a young man named Jake, slightly older than Richard, and he talks him out of it, and they end up kind of bonding and friendship, and off they travel. And that seemed kind of abrupt to me. The way it happened, sort of like right after he pulls them off, and they're talking for a bit, and then Richard's like, "Well, what are we gonna do now?" Like Jake's now saddled with him, or he seemed to just like, "I'm yours now. You know, you saved me, and you're responsible for me." It's like he took that old saying kind of literally, but Jake seems fine with it, and off they travel across mountains and on ships, and Richard, having come from a city, is not used to this sort of new life, and he keeps kind of balking at it at first, and Jake's like, you'll be fine, and I think he kind of teaches Richard to accept new challenges and things like that, but Richard still always has it in his mind that he's going to be a writer, he's going to be better than his father, and through the course of events, he's no longer with Jake. I won't explain how he ends up with the woman. I felt he's very selfish. I think he's very self-centered. Everything seems to be about him. He doesn't really care even about this woman. And that's why I say he's a total dick. I didn't like his character. I didn't really care what happened to him, if he had success, if he had failure. Will he eventually learn the error of his ways and his behavior towards others? Read the book, you'll find out. But overall, the writing's great, the style's great, I just didn't like the character. So that kind of brought my liking of the book overall down. So yeah, I'm still going to continue, obviously, with her book. She has quite a catalog, and I'm looking forward to reading more. But I do enjoy her writing style. I did. Some people say they like the second half of the book better. I actually like the first half of the book. I like the descriptions of being out on the sea and traveling across the mountains, and the encounters that the two had, more so than his sort of home life with this woman. But that's just my opinion of it. But yeah, if you guys want to give it a try, let me know what you think, or if you've read it before, let me know down below. And I think that's just about everything as opposed to what I'm reading currently. I'll show you the audiobook I'm listening to right now. That is The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. This is a strange book, sort of set in the future. I'll go on about it right now, is that there's some sort of plague that is robbing people of their shadows. It starts in India with one man. They think it's some kind of miraculous event, and he becomes famous because of it. And then things start to go wrong with him, and he starts to lose his memories. And then it seems to start spreading to other people. And no one knows how it's spreading, what's causing it, and of course there's this fear, and so no one wants to be near the shadowless. And we follow various people, a couple, and then another young girl and her sister, and how all these kind of stories will converge. It'll be interesting to see. I will tell you that I'm actually finding it a little boring. I don't know. The premise of it sounds interesting but I'm losing my interest in it. Maybe it's just in terms of the audio, and I keep finding myself, I don't feel like listening to it. Usually I want to just jump right back into my audiobook. Oh yeah, I'm going to work today, I get to listen to my audiobook. Or I'm out walking Skippy, but I'm actually not all that anxious to pick this up, so I'm not enjoying it as much as I was hoping I would. So we'll see if the ending, the wrap-up of it kind of pulls things together and makes it worth the listen. I'm probably about at least 3/4 of the way through it so far. And as the physical book I'm reading right now, I picked up John Mortimer's Rumpole on Trial. It's a series of short stories about a British barrister. They're humorous, they're interesting. He turns out to be more of a detective sometimes than just a lawyer, and the way he can twist the law and just all sorts of stuff. It's hard to describe Rumpole. He's quite the character. along with his wife, who he refers to as She Who Must Be Obeyed. There's a lot of humor within these stories. They're really enjoyable. It's been a while since I've read anything by on this particular character, so having just found this at a library sale, I was really delighted and thought I'd pick it up. We've got Booktubeathon coming up in just a few days, so I didn't want to get tucked into any major novel or anything like that, since I have at least 3 books I'm hoping to get through during that week. We'll see. So yeah, so that's my update so far. Let me know what you guys are reading. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.